Okay, going to call the special meeting of council to order for Friday, June 13th. Take approval of the agenda, please. Councilor Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor. That the June 13th, 2025 special council meeting agenda be adopted as presented.
Seconder, Councilor Noxana. All in favor? Carried. New business, golf course cart storage compound, updated site conditions and budget implications. Report dated June 13, 2025 from the Director of Operations and Infrastructure regarding the golf course cart storage compound, updated site conditions and budget implications. Recommendation, Councilor Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor. Can I move this for information, please? For discussion.
For discussion. Seconder,
Wrong one.
Councilor Hoffman. All in favor? Carried. Councilor Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor. So it's good to see, well, I wouldn't say it's good to see this back, but we do have this back in front of us. Reading the report, I think it is, I think the mayor's pulse on the previous discussion was correct in that we need a cement pad. So after we made a decision about this project, I had a few residents come to me about it. Some were happy we're adding, some felt that maybe we could be doing a little more. So for myself, I'm happy to see the cement pad go in moving forward. But one of the things that was brought up to me was the amount of money that the golf course brings in. I think for my opinion about what we do with the project, maybe that should come into our thought processes about how much to spend. Because in my original comments were in relation to how much the cost recovery, how much we'd be charging. But I mean, it does make sense to me that, if the golf course is making, say, $20,000 a year, that'd play into account my decision making. So I did ask Ms. Scott leading up to this what the revenues of the golf course is, and I'm hoping we can get that information from her. If you would.
Ms. Scott.
So these numbers are not verified by the Director of Finance, but are, can be taken as a relatively safe to assume reflective figures. The total revenue, so I'm going to give you a 3 years, so 2022, 2023, 2024. The revenue for 2023 was approximately $338,000. The expenses for 2022 were approximately $368,000. So the golf course had expenses of approximately $29,000 more than we brought in revenue. In 2023, revenue was approximately $386,000. Expenses were approximately $409,000. So again, we had expenses of about $23,000 that were over what we brought in for revenue. In 2024, it was a little bit of a different story. In 2024, we brought in about $529,000 worth of revenue, and we had about $461,000 worth of expenses. So we actually finished the year with approximately $68,000 more than expenses.
Follow up, Councilor Norbury.
So over the last 3 years, we're positive about $13,000. Fair enough. Thank you for gathering that information, Ms. Scott, and thank you, Mayor, for your allowance to that information. So at this point in time, I'd be prepared to put a motion on the floor, but I'm in favor of this. I'm glad staff caught this, that gravel would not be sufficient for this area. And I mean, we realize now that the decision making was based upon the frozen ground versus the way it is. So yeah, I'd be in favor of the cement pad, and honestly, I think we should be looking at a multi-phase project here so that we can have something similar to what is already being offered. Something with walls, ceiling, so that we can potentially have electric carts in that area, because I mean, having electrical in an open air, probably gonna cause some issues, so yeah, thanks.
Thanks. Councilor Julik.
Before I go into some of my reasoning, I was wondering if there's a contingency number built into this 79,000 or 72,000, pardon me.
Ms. Scott.
Yes, I believe there was, but the Director of Operations who prepared this report is here, so I can ask him to provide that information.
Thank you, Ms. Scott. Mayor and Council, yes, there is a contingency.
Okay.
Follow.
Okay, I still am not in favor of this project simply because I wondered, one of the things I wondered about was if we had brought this up in our regular budget conversations, would this be something that we approved? The other thing is the math doesn't add up for me. Between the $125,000 on the old cart storage, the $76,000 on this one, and I see that I'm over 4,000 on that. I wrote down 76 rather. So basically I had added it up to 201,000. If you divide that by 64, so that's 32 carts, at 2 people a cart, that's $3,140 per person. The same council was not very happy with a fire hall that came in at 12 million. And if you take that number and you divide it by the 2399 of the population of Tumbler Ridge, we're at $5,000 per. So I think why I'm bringing it up like this is because that's how my thought process works, is I think about breaking it down to what does that look like as the whole. And with it being such a small group of people, and I understand the need for it, it's just, for me, when I think about it being a capital project, then there's maintenance that goes on top of it. I feel like had we brought this up during regular budget, we probably would have been looking at it a little bit harder. We can get grants for the fire hall, which we can't necessarily do for this. Possibly we can. I'm thinking bringing that number down. And for me, it just, the numbers don't add up. We don't have, and I would be fine probably if we could put it off so I could look at the cost recovery. That was one of my frustrations when we talked about this before, was that we haven't got the numbers in front of us for cost recovery. We had that other building built at $125,000. It's 12 years old. We still hadn't got the money back on that. And I know some of the conversation that comes back to me is, well, we don't get cost recovery on the community center. The community center, we have more than 64 residents use the community center. And it's not against the golfing, and I appreciate the numbers because it looks like we've broke even now between the 3 years. What does that look like further on? You know what I mean? Like it doesn't make sense to me so far as the math goes. So I won't be supporting this at this time.
Thank you. Councillor Hoffman.
Thank you, Mayor. I mean, I was supportive when we were talking about the numbers that we were talking about before, and now we're more than doubling them. I don't want to rush through this. I think that something does need to be done, and it may have to be this, but not under these circumstances. I think we might need to do something like deposits or something where we say we have guaranteed income for the next X number of years because you want a spot, or however we do it. I don't want to make that argument right now, but something where people are committing to essentially paying for this over the next at least few years to get going. And I can't say I'm convinced that the costs aren't going up for other reasons. I realize staff is limited on the information they have, but $85,000 project staying at $85,000 project over the next time period, I can't say I'm convinced of that either. But for today, with the numbers we're talking about, I can't justify it. I think we have to take a different approach here. I think we need, it might be that we need to combine the existing with something else to create more spaces or something to make it worthwhile. But with the numbers we have right here, the optimistic outcome is 16 years to recoup the costs for this for a small segment of our population. So as it stands right now, I cannot support this motion. Thank you.
Okay, just so all councils aware, there's no motion on the floor. It's just up for discussion. No, don't be sorry. Councillor Bertrand.
Thank you, Mayor. I really wish I was a part of this debate the first time. I did watch it. I did understand council's position on cost recovery, but reading through the original report, the numbers are extremely off. And so I'm afraid that the cost recovery concern was skewed by the original report. In the original report, it said that we would be charging $96 per season for the new 16 spaces that would take 12 years to recoup the costs. The math doesn't add up on that. I'm a little bit confused on the original cost on the original building, 125,000. Just going by memory, I believe it was much more expensive than that, but I'm not sure about that. I think we've rushed this entire process, to be honest. I think we're trying to appease some golfers, but there's more information that's needed. We do have a waiting list down at the golf course with over 20 people on there, so to your concern about guaranteed income, I think the waiting list definitely shows that there will be income there and it will be filled, 16 new spots. But we also need to know which ones are electric and which ones are gas within that list. If we're going by this new report and putting concrete down and a fence and possibly a roof, it's not going to accommodate electric carts at all. And from what I gather, I spend a lot of time at the golf course. Gas and electric are kind of a half and half split right now. So there is some more information that's needed here. Mayor, I would like confirmation of that 125,000 for the original building though, because I think if we are talking about cost recovery, we do need to get accurate numbers. As well, the cost recovery depends on what we charge as well. So $400 for a 12-month rental of indoor storage is extremely cheap. There's no reason why we can't increase that. There's no reason why we can't set a price that makes it a reasonable cost recovery timeline on the new positions, or spots, sorry. Yeah, I'm just a little bit confused on this. I don't think that we should rush into a decision here. I like the phased approach, but I think this council needs to decide if we're going to do it or not going to do it, because if we're not going to do it, then there's no point. But if we want to create extra space for more carts, then we need to do it properly. So I can't really say I'm in favor of this at the moment, unless it would be a phased approach. I do know there is demand for extra spots there. That waiting list hasn't moved for at least 10 years, probably since its existence. The people that are renting that area have it really good, and they're not giving it up. So the likelihood of somebody on the waiting list moving into the new cart storage or the old cart storage is very unlikely. But also because of the fact that it's so affordable too. I mean, winter storage, all year storage for $400, you can't get that at a storage yard, outdoor. So I think we also need to look at our fees and charges as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And just to be aware that the fees and charges bylaw will be coming forward in September or probably October once golf season's done. Pretty hard to do an increase. So it was something that was on this council's plate, and it just, just didn't come forward in time to deal with it. But you asked in regards to the previous built enclosed storage building in regards to the cost. Ms. Scott, do we know if that is the accurate cost for that?
Information that I just received from the Director of Finance, and she can weigh in on this as well, but information I just received was that the original cost was $99,210 with a renovation of approximately $63,000. But the Director of Finance is online and can provide some of that information.
You're on mute.
Thank you. Yes, Mayor and Council, I'm showing according to the tangible capital asset listing in 2013 that the storage building was originally built. And I have two costs in there for 2013, and the one is the $99,210, and then this renovation. So it was this building, and then the storage area renovation was $63,227.
Okay, thank you. And I think the other question that Councilor Bertrand kind of mentioned was the waiting list numbers, and if we have a breakdown of gas to electric. Ms. Scott?
I don't have that. And I know the Director of Operations is here. I'm not sure if he would have that, but I will ask him if he does happen to have that information.
Thank you, Ms. Scott, Mayor and Council. I do have a list. The waiting list is 19 people, but it doesn't have a breakdown of gas or electric.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion by council? Councilor Norbury?
Thank you, Mayor Kakalka. So my thought is, my thoughts goes back to the users of potential users of this area, right? I hear that, they would prefer, what they have to be replicated, but I understand Councillor Bertrand's comments regarding it feels rushed, sure. This was an idea to try and overcome some of the issues that they're having down there. We have people chaining carts up to trees. We have a lot of people driving to and from the course, which hopefully this would overcome. And my thought is like a phased approach, because a bird in the hand's worth two in the bush, I'd hate to see this project get pushed off, which is fine if we have to do that so that we can get a comprehensive approach. If we take a comprehensive approach, what's best for the golfers. But my thought would be, we give them something now because we know there's a need. There's 19 people on a wait list. And it's funny because you mentioned the wait list. I talked to the person who got the last spot recently, 5 years ago. They got it, right? And they told me the history of it. So it's been 5 years, people waiting for these spots. So I'd rather see something today that we can get something in. It's not perfect, but we can phase it out. We're talking about cost recovery. Not everything's about cost recovery. If it's a cement pad, we can charge more, and we can get that cost recovery over time. I think it's important to take into account that the golf course is bringing in revenue currently. We don't need to subsidize the community for that. I think some of that could be spent on this project. So I'll be happy to make a motion.
Okay.
I'll make the motion that council approves option 1 for the golf cart storage compound that includes a cement pad and no receptacles for the cost of $72,000. Thanks.
Thank you. Seconder? Councillor Noxana, discussion. Just before I go to the rest of council, I was going to do my comments in discussion, but I'm fine with the motion being on the floor. Ms. Scott, can you just have an overview? I'm assuming we're going to be looking out for grants. We seem to always look for grants in regards to this, and I'm just curious if we've, started that process.
Yes, we do always try to find grants for any of the capital projects or special projects we have going on. We have identified one potential grant, possibly through NDIT. They have a recreation infrastructure stream. This could potentially fit under that. We would have to take a closer look at some of the eligibility requirements. Under that grant, we could apply for up to $100,000 if we wanted 70% of the project funded, or we could apply for up to $300,000 if we wanted 50% of the project covered. So we've identified that as one potential grant option and are still looking into other options.
Thank you. And I know there was a comment made by Councillor Julik about would we have had this discussion or deeper thought or support if it was during budget session. This was brought up during budget discussion. It just took a bit of time for staff to get a report together in front of council. I don't want to speak to it long term, but I believe Ms. Scott had some where the report would come from. That member was off due to some concerns family, so it took a bit of time to get that report in front of council. But this wasn't a last minute add-in. It was obviously not added in January or December or whatever. I believe it came in March. I could be wrong on the exact date. But this was brought in during the budget discussion, but we had to wait for the report. But do we have the date that it was brought into the budget discussion, Ms. Scott?
I believe it has the date on the memo that it came to council. March 11th was the date of the original memo, and I don't have the calendar in front of me, but it would have been around that time that it came to council in the budget discussion.
Thank you. Councillor Julik.
My point was more about when we sit and we go through each line item and we kind of decide what's coming in and what's going out. And I feel like when we're in that, there's a lot more attention paid to the numbers. This felt like something that came in after. It definitely falls within our budget stuff. I'm not saying that it doesn't. I'm just saying that I wonder if we were choosing between this and something else, if this would have been the thing that was approved, as we've done in other things when we'd have our budget conversations.
Thank you. Councillor Hoffman?
Thank you, Mayor. I understand there's a need, and I just want to know that this is the right answer for that need. And when we don't have, we have a list. Now, what if we tell this list and the existing that, okay, the costs have doubled for this to be worthwhile to do? I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but if it does, or if it's triple, like I simply don't know what it's going to look like. Do we have to move gas to outside so we make room for electric? Whatever the balance will end up being, is this of value to our golfers? If it's going to cost them $800 a year or $1,200 a year. So until we actually have that conversation with those that we believe are going to use it, I think it's premature to say we're willing to spend this much for 16 spots. In the end, if we need 30 spots and we need to renovate the structure and expand or whatever we need to do, I'm happy to look at that. But I don't see us actually renting these spots for $400 a year anymore. I don't have anything concrete to say that other than the fact of things aren't that cheap anymore. So I really would like to see that conversation had with the people that are going to commit or think that they want to use these, of what that final number, or not necessarily final, but at least the ballpark of the number. And yes, we have 19 people on the waiting list for a $400 a year spot. Will we have 19 on the waiting list if it's an $800 or a $1,200 spot? And that's why I can't support the motion yet. I think we need that conversation to really see how many people would be interested in what we can actually deliver at the price we can deliver it. So that's kind of it for me. I can't support a motion that's committing us to building something that I don't know is going to be of value to the people that are saying they want that right now. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Noxana?
Thank you. I like the idea of putting this out to the, not just the wait list, maybe the golfing public, to see who would still be interested if the prices were to increase, because obviously they need to increase, and what level of service is needed. Should we be looking at a covered spot with electrical off the bat? I don't want to put in concrete and then have to go back and rip something up because we haven't done it properly. So I think that there is value in just waiting and getting this done properly and ensuring that we have some grants if there's grants available.
Thank you. Any more discussion? Councillor Bertrand?
Thank you, Mayor. Excuse me. Councillor Hoffman, I completely agree. And that is why I am concerned that I think this process has been rushed. Councillor Norbury, I definitely understand your desire to try and fill the need right now. But again, I don't want to spend this kind of money on something that is just half done. You know, the whole point of the cart storage is for ease of access, but for an outdoor storage, it's not very likely that patrons are going to be keeping those carts down there in the wintertime. It's not ideal to have an outdoor storage for a golf cart. You know, for a user, you would be looking at having to buy a tarp or a cover to cover it. I'm not in favor of this motion because I think there's more information that's needed. I absolutely agree. I think we need to talk to the wait list. I think we need to distinguish who has golf or who has gas and who has electric. If we go and put $72,000 into a concrete pad and our 19 people on the waiting list all have electric, where are we? It doesn't make any sense. And to push the gas carts out of the existing building into the outdoor storage, they're not going to want that. So like I said, I think if we want to do this, we need to do it right, with a roof and walls and everything. Chain link fence is good, but it's only good for the season. People are looking to store their carts down there to either they don't have a trailer to trailer it down there, or they don't have the means to get it down there, or just want that ease of access. So I'm not in favor of this motion because I would like to see more information gathered. As well, I wanted to mention if we did have a grant stream available to us, I think all of our opinions would change on this. So it would be nice to know what the revenues are after this season, to see what the cost and of investment would be. But it would also be nice to try and narrow down grant funding, because if we can narrow down $200,000 in grant funding, there's no point in building a concrete pad with a chain link fence. Let's do it right. So I can't support this motion at this time. I would be in favor of amending it for grant dependency. I think that would change everyone's opinion if we had a grant available.
Thank you. Any other discussion? I'm going to make a couple comments. I don't support it. When we talk $72,000 for a outside storage facility with cement and three-sided chain link fence, and I hear that we possibly spent $100,000 on the one we have. I know that they have two numbers there, 99,000, whatever it was, and 63,000. But I believe there was also a renovation on the cart storage facility that the district uses for the rentals. So I'm curious if that's where the 63,000 is coming in, but it doesn't seem like we have clarity there. So to me, when I look, we're spending 72 grand with no roof, no walls. It's going to be chain link. To me, I think the better direction here is give it back to staff. Look for a grant. It doesn't mean that this still cannot happen in 2025 if a grant was to come forward and actually build one that we have there today. Maybe the grant is, that Ms. Scott mentioned, there's one that up to 50%, which is $300,000. You know, maybe we can top some, I'd have to come back to council, I mean, because we'd have to put in a bit more money, but we may be able to build something a bit bigger, where, you know, you're putting in, you know, you have room to hold 25 or 30 carts. So we're not having to build a third one in 2026. You know, at first, when this all came before council in the last report, you know, I was totally in favor, and I was fine with going with gravel because that was the way council was going instead of cement. Myself, I wanted the cement one so that we could reflect the water properly. I've been down to the golf course here when I returned back to town, and, you know, I see the height difference in regards to what's down there. And again, you can't see in the picture that was supplied in that report. I mean, they took it in the winter. But for us to spend $72,000 for what we're going to get, I think we're really not doing justice to the taxpayer. I 100% think we should be supporting the golfers in Tillman Ridge with another storage facility. I mean, there's 20 or 19 on the list. It shows that there's a need. I believe that the list would be higher if people knew we had space, because I know there's a lot of out-of-town golfers that are coming in and are hauling their cart in, but they have a membership here. So I do think it's important that maybe, you know, if this motion doesn't pass, that maybe we direct staff to look for grants, and you know, if we have another meeting, we can bring it back that a grant was successful, and we can look at a spot, and you know, maybe they could be pre-looking at a spot. I know in the report it talks about stage thing, roof, then you need it engineered. Is the roof tall enough? Is how they do it to make sure the roof can go on? There's some concerns there, I think. So I think to do it right and to make sure that it fits, one, the golf course that we have down there, which to me is, you know, it's a gem, but we're also supporting the residents and out-of-towners that need more storage for their carts. But to spend $72,000 is pretty much what, you know, we're spending half the amount to build a new one. Be honest, I made a call today. I gave the measurements. I said, throw me a number off the top of the hat. It's about double what this number is. If we get a grant, it's a no-brainer to me, but to spend $72,000 right now, and I think what I've heard from the golfers, as soon as we approved the last one, well, there's no roof. I'm not putting my cart in there. Right? So, you know, can't do electrical because the water's in it. It says right in the report. I don't think that, you know, I said, maybe we don't do electrical, and council put it the other way through because I was concerned. What happens if no electricals in there? Councilor Bertrand mentioned that. And then to say that, well, we'll use that as an outside one for gas, so we're going to tell somebody that has been renting an inside storage facility since it's been built, that, oh, sorry, we're going to make this our electric side and all gas has to go outside. I don't think that's fair to our residents or the member that's had their cart there that long. So at this point, I don't support it. I do think there's a way of giving direction back to staff to start applying for grants. I think they have an idea that we're looking for a fully enclosed facility, and to see what we can get. I know staff worked fairly hard today. I was in town hall a few times, and they were looking at grants already. So I think this is a way of maybe doing it right for the residents and the golfers. Councilor Bertrand?
Thank you, Mayor. I did want to make a couple more comments here. It's great to see that the golf course has gone into the black. I must have saw some preliminary revenue numbers there because I had the revenue at around 450,000. So it's great to see that we're in the black finally. And just from visiting and playing this summer, I can almost guarantee council that the revenue is going to go up this year. There's some unforeseen circumstances with neighboring communities' golf courses closed. So a lot of those golfers from Chetwynd are coming to town regularly, and some are buying memberships as well. So I can tell you for firsthand that it is very difficult to get a tee time at the golf course right now. As well, I wanted to pass on some concern about the ground beside the cart storage at the moment. I'm concerned about the extremely steep bank that is fairly close to that area. So if we are planning a new building, I think a different spot might be more prudent for us, given who knows what can happen with the ground. But also the drainage right now. There is a pretty significant grade from our cart storage to the bank. And I'm just wondering if Public Works or if staff have any plans to, or if there has been any water leakage from drainage into the cart storage building.
Yep, thank you for that. After the motion's either passed or not, I will ask that question for you. Any other discussions with the motion that's on the floor? Okay, going to call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Councillor Bertrand, Councillor Dussault, Councillor Julick, Councillor Hoffman, Councillor Noxana, Mayor Kukalka opposed. Motion is defeated. Before we go to Councillor Norbury, Ms. Scott, are we aware if there's any concerns in regards to drainage in the facility we have now?
I do not have that information, so I will ask the Director of Operations if he can provide information on whether or not we have drainage issues with that building.
Thank you, Ms. Scott, Mayor and Council. At this time, I am not aware of any water issues inside that facility.
Thank you. Councillor Norbury.
Thank you, Mayor Kukalka. I appreciate everyone's comments regarding, if we're going to do it, let's do it right. And, I definitely could, I felt that discussion leading up to it, but I mean, again, I still felt that, something's worth more now than, but I think it's, it's prudent that we, throw it back to staff, come back with some options. Realistically, I want to advocate for the golfers in our community and the golfers visiting our community. So I'd like to make a motion, Mayor, for staff to prepare a new report on a golf cart storage with walls and a roof, with consultation with golfers and the public to suit their needs and their and what they're willing to pay. Thanks.
Thanks. Can we add that we start looking for grants?
So amended.
Okay, and just location, but I think that's in their location. Okay, seconder, Councillor Bertrand, discussion on the motion. Ms. Scott, I just want to make sure you got the motion.
Yes.
Thank you. Councillor Hoffman and Councillor Julick.
Thank you, Mayor. I think this is exactly the right next step. The only thing I want to be clear is I think we should cast as wide a net as we can and include all memberships, anybody showing up, whatever we need to do for surveys for them. And we may even want to expand a little bit to surrounding communities. If Chetwynd is coming out here a lot, that might be something that's really appealing to somebody to be able to bring their cart and drop it off here, even if it's just for the season, even if it isn't year-round storage. So thank you, Councillor Norbury, for that motion. That's exactly where I think we need to go.
Thank you. Councillor Julick and then Councillor Norbury.
Yeah, I just have a question. So I guess for me, I'm hoping that, because it sounds to me like there's a couple of different funding streams you can get money from, and so if it was the $300,000 one versus the $100,000 one or something like that, I just feel the report would be different, just because the type of the building would be different, possibly, like if we got the $300,000 one. So I guess for me, I'm just hoping that obviously staff will do it how staff wants to do it. My concern is that we figure out if we get the grant and then have the report, because then it'll make a difference in the end. So
Yep. And staff won't do what they want to do. Staff's going to reach out and look at all options. I just want to make sure that's clear. They're not just going to go do what they want. I think the motion's been clear, and they're going to look at all grant options. And, Ms. Scott mentioned a couple, but they're going to look at it all and see if that option's out there, and if we were able to get a grant, then it would come back to council. Councillor Bertrand.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to add that I think Farmington Fairways would be a good resource to ask for costing. They have a large golf cart storage building, very similar to ours, but I believe it's bigger. So it might be a good cost comparison for rental fees for the year.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think, not to get too far off this motion that's put on there, when the fees and charges come back, I believe staff was, previously, to Ms. Scott Sarton here, it was asked of our intern CEO, and it was asked to reach out to all golf courses, looking at all their fees compared to what our fees are, privately owned and district owned, just to make sure we're not basing our judgment off privately owned golf course compared to community owned, the district owned. So like Taylor has a district owned, but I know staff will bring forward anything we ask. Any more discussion on the motion? Yeah, I will support this motion. I think, again, when I look at $72,000, I mean, previously the numbers were a little lower. I think they were lower because, again, we had snow on the ground. It wasn't anything else there. They didn't see the snow looked like it made it look like it was level in there. But I support this motion, and I think it's great that we have an opportunity to, one, look for grants. And build the right thing. I've already heard it when we had no roof on it. It was just going to be gravel and chain link fencing. I'm not putting my cart there. So I think this is a different aspect. It's kind of somewhat the same kind of facility we have down there, and I think it makes a big difference for the golfers, whether they're local or not. But anybody that has a membership for our golf course are Tumble Ridge, in my thoughts. Just because they don't have a golf course in their community and they're buying memberships here, they are definitely part of us. And, we see carts left down there now, and I think this is another option and a revenue stream. And I understand it, until it's paid off, there's really no revenue there. Still, you're taking a hit on it until it's paid off. I believe we see difference in some of our revenue when it comes to the golf course when staff is going down there and locking the heat in the storage facility right now. Some of those costs, when it comes to utilities, get fairly high. With them being able to do that, I think it makes a difference as well. So I think it's really important, but I'll be supporting the motion. Councilor Norbert?
Thank you, Mayor Kakalka. Yeah, for me, it's just making sure that we fit the needs of the people that we're trying to serve. Councilor Hoffman and Councilor Bird try to make good points about who we should be reaching out to. My thoughts go to the direct users is first, and then secondary to the public of potential users, because I think Mayor Kakalka made a good point in that, word around town gets out there, right? People know there's a 19-person wait list, and the last person who got in there is 5 years ago. Yeah, they're not going to sign up. Right? They're not going to sign out until it comes down, right? Realistically. So, I really want to make sure that we're fitting the needs of the users down there, the potential users down of the golf course. We do have quite the great resource there, and this will last for many, many years to come. So why not do it right the first time? The only other comment is that since speaking with residents about this, because it's out there, is that some communities sell stalls. Like they'll sell part of the stall, and so that might be an option. I'm not sure I'm fully into that, but that is also an option out there. Thanks.
Thank you. Any more discussion on the motion? Okay, going to call the question. All in favor? Carried. Question answered period. From the gallery. Curtis?
Thank you, Mayor. Chris Norbury brought up a very important topic, doing a phased approach. Has anybody thought about doing modular storage units? So you don't need concrete, you don't need fencing, and you have an individual storage bay, just like Dawson Creek. You can add them, and if you want to only do in 10 for a year, see if they use up, you can bring in more. So way more cost effective. They're sealed, covered, and you got your own roll-up door, secure. That would be a good one to look into, as well as they're modular. So if you bring them in, if they don't get used, move them somewhere else, so they can be used elsewhere within the community, something else. Just a still thought, so dual purpose. And then you're not building a big building, because the building right now takes up a big square footage, and half of it is just to get in and out of it, right? So there's a lot of space right down the middle that's unused space. So you actually could put these modular units in different areas. So you're not taking up half the parking lot. You put some over by the driving range. You can put them down the driving range road towards the storage unit where the Wolverine North Mountain Society keeps their stuff, as well as all the extra equipment down there out of the way. And you could also rent them out to other user groups. So, you know, people that have different businesses or whatever, instead of just ordering what you need them for here, they could be utilized elsewhere. So that's just a thought maybe that could be brought up, and then maybe you could get a different type of grant. So it's not just sporting specific, golf specific, it could be community oriented. So then there's a community involvement aspect of it, so they could be rented out elsewhere.
Did you have a question?
Has anybody thought about it?
Has anybody thought about it?
So
Yeah.
has anybody reached out to Dawson Creek?
Yeah. I know staff has started that process, because that was one of the comments, Curtis, that we came up with, and I believe we even talked about it previously about doing that. Because it's usually, I thought Dawson Creek on the one side had it where you could, you know, someone builds and the next person builds, that obviously build less. But I know they're going to those portable ones. So I know staff is, and I think that's why I think the right motion was made tonight to start looking out, so I appreciate that. Any other questions from the gallery? Yes, go ahead.
Every year, you gotta pay a $75 trail fee if you own a cart to use the golf course. Where does that money go to? I've been here for 6 years, and there has been one improvement made on that trail. So that's thousands and thousands of dollars that the community has put in, and no improvements to the trail. And if a golfer is paying the trail fee, it should go to golf course trail, not wherever you guys decide to put that money.
Yeah. Right now, it just goes into general revenue. So that is a discussion that has been brought up. So again, when fees and charges come forward, the same thing is, so I've asked it, like, is there a way of putting a line item for that specific thing? If golfers are paying for a trail fee, can that be put into a separate line item so that when staff goes and starts to do some updates or beautifications down there, and they're gonna redo some of the asphalt, like on hole one where it drops right off, that they're just coming in to update council that they're gonna be doing some of this, it's $200,000, whatever the amount is, but the money's already in the line item. So that is being talked about, and staff is looking into that. It'll definitely be coming forward when the fees and charges come forward. So it's the same as our cart rentals. It was brought up during the cart rental budget discussion when we decided to buy, purchase new carts for this year. It was, you know, when we rent carts, can we do the same thing? We know what the budget is approximately per cart. Can we make sure we have a certain amount in this line item that gets up to a certain number, and then after that, it goes into general revenue, because when we buy carts, then it has to be topped back up. So that conversation is now happening. Probably a little late, but as we start learning things, I think it's important to use that idea. Any other questions from the gallery? Okay, any emailed in questions, Ms. Scott? Thank you. Take a resolution to close, please. Councilor Norbury?
That the June 13th, 2025 special council meeting be closed to the public according to Section 91B of the Community Charter to permit discussion about B, personal information about an identifiable individual who is being considered for a municipal award or honor, or who has offered to provide a gift to the municipality on condition of anonymity.
Seconder, Councilor Noxana, all in favor? Carried. 5-minute recess.